Hello and welcome to another episode of Chuchu is a Ranker. On this episode we're going to be continuing our albums of the year list. This time it's 1992. So yeah, 1992 is another weak year. It doesn't really have much depth, not really a huge pool of classic records to pull from, but as usual the 10 records on this list are absolutely gangbusters. I recommend them all. So without further ado, let's be complete rankers and rank up a storm. These are my personal top 10 albums from 1992. So we're going to be kicking off this list with Dirt by Alice in Chains, which was their second LP. Now, to be honest, this kind of music just isn't really my thing. You know, that kind of like chugging, grunge, metal, blues rock hybrid, usually with the singer that has the raspy voice, you know, your Soundgardens and your Audio Slaves and your Alice in Chains and your Nickelback. I mean, Jesus Christ, the moment a Nickelback record like ends up on my list is the moment I stick a pistol in my mouth and pull the fucking trigger. Yeah, so sorry to fans of that genre of music, it's just not my bag. However, this record gets a pass due to just its intense darkness. This is kind of a concept album, and on this concept album the band are diving into all of their kind of personal demons, letting you into their cycle of like self-destruction, and that was a cycle which inevitably like took the lives of a couple members of this band. So I really do like that kind of dark confessional aspect of this album. It's pretty interesting, and as I said, I usually don't like that kind of like chugging dirgy soundscape, but it really works here, and it just kind of like makes it even darker. Like it's like really murky and oppressive and atmospheric, and just like the artwork, it feels like being buried in dirt, you know, and people are just like heaping more and more dirt on you to the point where it becomes kind of hard to breathe. So yeah, not a really huge fan of this style of music, but I like this record. I like the darkness of it, I like the honesty of the lyrics, and yeah, that's a cool aspect that puts it over the top for me. Next up, we have 99.9 Degrees Fahrenheit, which was the fourth album by Suzanne Vega. And on this, you have a mixture of like bright dub-inspired pop and acoustic folk tunes. And the balance between them works really well. I think the sound is really dynamic, and the album has held up really well. It sounds really modern. I mean, this could be Casey Musgraves or Taylor Swift or any, you know, latter-day pop artist. And it's got tons of good tracks on it. The dubby catchiness of the title track, 99.9 Degrees Fahrenheit, and Blood Makes Noise, really cool. You have the beautiful indie pop of In Liverpool and the gorgeous orchestral swells and classical guitar of The Closer, Song of Sand. Yeah, this is just a really good folk pop album. Fantastic stuff.
In this part of town.
Coming in next, we have Henry's Dream by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. So yeah, this is just a really slickly produced album. It has way more sheen and polish on it than any of Nick Cave's albums before. And yeah, on this one, he's moving away from the more ballad-heavy nature of The Good Son, back to a more kind of rhythmic style of Tender Prey and The Firstborn is Dead. And yeah, there's just no bad songs on this. In fact, Nick Cave at this point has just entered his own kind of golden period. His albums from the 90s are just so consistent and high quality. And yeah, plenty of awesome songs on this. The duo of openers, Papa Won't Leave You Henry and I Had a Dream Joe, are just rhythmic and exciting rockers. Straight to You, When I First Came to Town, are great ballads with swooning melodies. Loom of the Land is a great low-J piano track with tons of like whiskey-soaked atmosphere. So yeah, basically this is just another flawless Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds LP. Great stuff. Next up, we have Wish by The Cure, which is often overlooked, I think, when people think about The Cure, which is really surprising because it has Friday I'm in Love on it, which is one of The Cure's greatest hits. But yeah, I like this album. I can see why it's overlooked because it is a bit unfocused at times and lacks a kind of cohesive direction, and there are a few filler tracks, and along with, you know, all Cure records from this kind of era, it is a bit too long. But as I say, I do like it. Obviously, it's on this list, and that's because there are plenty of just great songs on it. High and Friday I'm in Love are just awesome, catchy pop tunes, pointing the way forward for Britpop, which was just around the corner. Apart and Trust are just incredibly emotional tunes, really good breakup songs. I'm a huge fan of Trust in particular, love that one, love the lyrics. My favourite track on the album though is From the Edge of the Deep Green Sea, just those awesome guitar riffs and the thick atmosphere and that wah-wah, just a straight up awesome epic Cure track. So yeah, this isn't the best Cure album, not by a long shot, but I still think it's a really good album and a good addition to their discography and an easy placing on this list. Coming in next, we have Dirty by Sonic Youth. So, although not amongst my favourite artists, I like Sonic Youth quite a bit, and they've always been in contention for these lists. I mean, like Sister, Daydream Nation, and especially Goo were all kind of like buzzing around the number 10 spot in their respective years, but didn't quite make it. However, this one does, because this is my favourite Sonic Youth album, and I think it's just that extra production sheen and the more commercial or accessible songwriting that puts this one over the top for me. And still, you know, they haven't lost that kind of idiosyncratic nature that I love about them. And yeah, this is just full of great, exciting, discordant guitar work and thunderous drumming. There's no weak material on this record, and surprisingly, they're able to maintain the quality throughout the entire duration of the record, which is an hour and 7 minutes. Of course, by now you know me, and you probably know that I don't really dig long albums, and yet this one's too long, but, you know, there's not a bad track on this, so I can't really complain about it that much on this one. Yeah, highlights include the roaring drums of Swimsuit Issue, the awesome rhythmic stutter of Drunken Butterfly, the post-punk catchiness of Sugarcane, the righteous anger of Youth Against Fascism. I could go on and on. Basically, this record is flawless. Amazing stuff by Sonic Youth here. So we're going to be kicking off this top 5 with r.e.m's Automatic for the People. So yeah, this is the band's kind of dark, almost gothic chamber pop record, and it's just packed to the hilt with huge smash hit singles. I mean, you have the all-time classic ballad Everybody Hurts on this, the Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight, a really awesome pop song. You have the Autopilot r.e.m standard Man on the Moon, the beautiful piano ballad of Night Swimming, and my favourite track on the album is the closing track, Find the River, just a cathartic rush of a song, an absolute masterpiece. So yeah, plenty of great material across this, and critics would actually put this as the greatest r.e.m record of all time. I personally don't agree with that. And you know, if you want to hear more about my opinions on r.e.m, I did a full rankers list. I will link that at the end of the video. But yeah, this is just an undeniably great record by r.e.m, and obviously an easy placing on this list. Next up, we have Harvest Moon by Neil Young. So yeah, I like Neil Young quite a lot. From these lists that I've been making, probably you can't tell just how much I like Neil Young, because let's be honest, his best work was back in the 1970s. Albums like After the Gold Rush and Harvest and On the Beach. On the Beach, man, I love that album. Absolutely incredible. I mean, if you don't get chills when you hear a song like See the Sky About to Rain, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, awesome stuff. And this album, Harvest Moon, is a sequel to his earlier 70s album Harvest, and it really calls back to that kind of period. That is exactly the period of Neil Young I love, and I feel that this record is a real bounce back and return to form, puts him right at the leading edge of this year because of that, and just gorgeous tracks on this start to finish. Nothing bad on this whatsoever. It's just beautiful, stripped back, gorgeous folk music with Neil Young's voice, which is always a pleasure to hear. It just conveys so much emotion. And also, when you actually listen to this record in comparison to what else was going on in 1992, because everything is like really noisy and full and like in the thaws of like post-grunge, it's just so refreshing to hear this kind of record. Awesome stuff by Neil Young. So coming in third and taking home the bronze medal, we have Slanted and Enchanted, which was the debut album by Pavement. Yeah, this album is crazy lo-fi. Like, it sounds like it was recorded in someone's bedroom, but that all adds to the charm. You can hear little mistakes and glitches on this, but as I say, really charming. On a sonic palette, this isn't a million miles away from Sonic Youth with his kind of discordant guitars and stuff, but yet it's way more melodic and catchy than Sonic Youth, much more indebted to pop music, and this sounds really contemporary actually. This could be any modern lo-fi indie band. I think it's really stood the test of time and is probably very influential on today's indie. And this has a weirdly addictive kind of X Factor quality to it. Like, I just can't stop listening to this record. This is one of those records, that you spin, and when you get to the end of it, you just immediately want to hear it again. It's like really cool. The whole album is just charming and consistent. And highlights on this record, you have the super catchy opening duo of Summer Babe and Trigger Cut, the punky Conduit for Sale, the sing-along nature of Loretta's Scars, and you have the beauty indie ballads of In the Mouth of Desert and Here. And in particular, Here is a song that just absolutely blew me away when I first heard it. I just kept skipping back and back and back to listen to it again and again and again. It's just a really awesome pop tune. Make sure to check that one out for sure. So yeah, this is just a really awesome debut album from Pavement. One to keep an eye on as we go forward on these lists, I think. Silver medal time, and the silver medal is going to go to the self-titled debut album by Rage Against the Machine. So I absolutely love Rage Against the Machine's sound. It's so dynamic and aggressive, and it's really, really cool. And Tom Morello is just an insanely talented guitarist. As a lot of you know, I'm in a band myself, and in that band I sing and I play guitar, and I just don't have any clue as to how Tom Morello does some of his guitar work on this. I mean, that solo that he plays on Fistful of Steel, it's like scratchy, kind of like DJ scratching a record kind of solo. How do you do that? It's just, the technique of it just completely befuddles me. It's absolutely amazing. I've never heard a guitar solo like it. It's just incredible. And his performance across this record is just an absolutely virtuoso performance. As I said, as a guitarist myself, it blows my fucking mind. And it's just so well timed and judged. Like, the riffs are like dynamic and rhythmic, and because of their rhythmic nature, there's always a chance that you might get bored of hearing the same riff again and again. But as I say, perfectly timed, judged. As soon as you've had enough of a riff, it changes to something even more dynamic and blistering. Yeah, awesome guitar work on this. And the vocalist Jay LaRocha, very politically charged, always sounds like he has something important to say, and I really love the passion that comes through in his vocals. Yeah, awesome stuff. And he's got like an awesome metal scream as well. And there are just no bad tracks on this. Everything is absolutely fantastic. Highlights on this: the opening bomb track, really cool. Take the Power Back is awesome. Bullet in the Head, so catchy. Not Your Enemy is awesome. And of course, the highlight of this entire album is the debut single, Killing in the Name of. Oh my god, it's just one of those fucking songs. It's just one of those songs that just sounds like it's always been out there somewhere in the ether, just waiting for someone to catch it. I mean, that refrain, the fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. It's just one of the greatest refrains of all time. Yeah, this is an absolute masterpiece. I love it, and it's just a miracle it's not first place. Fantastic stuff. So here we are at the top of the mountain, and the gold medal for 1992 is going to go to Your Arsenal by Morrissey. So yeah, I'm sorry, but my fanboyism for Morrissey had to come into play at some point, and here it is, coming into play pretty hard, beating out Rage Against the Machine for the top spot. That's just insane, but I can't deny the personal connection and love I have for this album. I adore it with every fibre of my being. On this record, Morrissey is leaning in a more glam rock direction, paying homage to his youth and retracing all of the glam rock records that he loved when he was growing up. This is also his first album with Boz Bora and Alan White, who would make up his backing band for, many, many years. Yeah, and it's just a flawless record. This has 10 songs on it. Every single one of them is just perfect. I mean, geez, You're the One for Me, Fatty, and We Hate It When Our Friends Become Successful were the hit singles off this record, and they are literally the worst tracks on this album, and they're still great. They're Morrissey classics. Yeah. Awesome stuff. The openers, You're Gonna Need Someone on Your Side and Glamorous Glue, just really set the tone. National Front Disco with its discordant heavy guitar outro, really, really fun. Seasick Yet Still Docked, insanely emotional. I just used to sit in my bedroom and get all mopey with that song. I Know It's Gonna Happen Someday, just this spiraling like rock and roll suicide inspired ballad, absolutely fantastic stuff. The closing track, Tomorrow, is an absolute Morrissey standard. Certain People I Know is a Ride the White Swan pastiche by T-Rex. Really fun song. And my favourite from this record, We'll Let You Know, which is a song about like football hooliganism, but as I said on my ranking video, just completely captures that kind of passing of time and the death of British culture thing that the Kings had going on. Really, really awesome song. Yeah, so I love this record. It's number one from 1992, no question for me. So that's my 1992 list, but that might not necessarily be your list. Your list might look completely different. Please sound off in the comments section and tell me your favourite records of 1992. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that other kind of YouTube jazz. Keep yourself healthy. Make sure to check back for my 1993 list, but most importantly, just keep on ranking.
Thank you.